7:35. I want to get started. Oh, there we go. We're being recorded. We're good. Okay, we're going to get started here today. We are very excited and happy to have our special guests today. Two special guests today. Rausch, no offense there.
I'm taken.
Okay. Mark Tabrum is going to be our main speaker today. Mark is currently the director of coaching education in Colorado Springs with USA Hockey. He's originally from Federal Way, Washington. He is a 1986 graduate of Miami University. So he's an older guy, 86. The irony of that too is while I was coaching the club hockey team, I had the pleasure of coaching Mark, and the team that he played on went 31-0 that year. So lost one game, and it was the national championship game against Huntsville, Alabama, who's now a Division I program. And Mark was a very key player in the success of that team. So, and I mean that sincerely. I know I give you a hard time all the time, but I mean that honestly. His first job out of Miami, he was the assistant coach at University of Wisconsin River Falls, which is NCAA Division III. And the second year he was there in 1988, the team won a national championship, NCAA Division III national champions. And then he was there after he left River Falls. In 1989, he founded the Indianapolis Junior Ice in the North American Hockey League. He was the head coach and general manager of the team, and actually founded the team in Indianapolis, and had a lot of success. In 92 and 93 when he was there, they played in 2 national championship games. And then from there, he headed to Colorado College, where he was the assistant coach there from 1993 to 99. And while he was there, the team won 3 WCHA championships. And then they were also in 2 Frozen Four appearances in Division I college hockey. In 1993, he was the assistant coach of the United States Under-17 Select Team. And in 1995, he was the head coach of the U.S. Select 17 team as well. So Mark joined USA Hockey in 1999 and has been with them since. So thank you again for joining us. And also, Mark was going to introduce Kenny Rausch, who is kind enough to join Mark, also from the national office. I don't know if Rausch's the tech guy, and because I know Tabes is technically challenged, but so anyway, I'll turn it over to Mark to introduce Kenny, and then we'll get started.
Nordy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
As you can tell, all that stuff happened a long, long time ago, and probably some of you weren't even born. So, but what we're going to do tonight, and I'll introduce you in a second here, but we're going to talk about USA Hockey's Declaration of Player Safety. And it's a topic that it's part of our certification program at USA Hockey, and it was added in this year with our new curriculum. And we've really found that a lot of coaches, aren't even aware of it, or if they do, they're really not too sure of it. So when Nordy and I were talking about maybe a topic, I kind of thought this one would be a good one, just from the standpoint that, we're looking at changing a culture when it comes to body contact, body checking, how we address that particular aspect of the game. And I asked Ken Rausch if he wanted to help me with it, partake in it tonight, and he jumped at it and said yes. And a lot of you have probably done an age-specific module that USA Hockey requires. And if you've done one of our age-specific modules, Kenny's the one that has done the body contact and body checking chapter in those. So to me, it only made sense to have Rausch involved with this as we did this tonight. And kind of what we're going to do, we're going to tag team it a little bit. And I'll kick it off and I'll turn it over to him, and then we'll kind of pick it up at the end together and have a good discussion. But really, the idea is to have a discussion, to make this to be interactive. It looks like we have about, maybe 12, 13 people on here, but you know, we really believe learning right now is through, you know, discussion, not just standing up in front of a room and talking to people. And we want interaction and want to learn from one another. So this is supposed to be interactive. So whether you want to keep your screens on or off, that I'd say that's up to you. But we really want some dialogue and again, some discussion. So as we get into this, at the top of your right-hand part of your screen, there's 3 dots. And when we get into the videos especially, if you click on those 3 dots and pin your video, you will get Rausch's video full screen as opposed to staying in this gallery mode that we're in. So I would recommend that for all of you. So as I said, kind of the thought process of this whole discussion tonight would be really focusing on the cultural change that we need to take in youth hockey in regards to body contact and body checking. So we're going to put up a poll and kind of get an idea of maybe who has an understanding, who doesn't. And in the poll, you're going to get a yes, no, or I think the other one is maybe or sort of, something like that. And we'll get an idea where kind of everyone's at.
Do you have the poll, Tabes?
No, I don't.
I don't either. And no, you can only the person who set up the meeting can do it.
Oh,
So
all right.
what we can do is just in the chat room. Obviously, it's a much smaller group too. You can put in the chat room, yes, I know what it is. No, I don't know what it is. I sort of know what it is, just so we can kind of get a feel for what everyone thinks.
Yeah, that's an idea. Or actually, you can go to reactions. See where it says reactions at the bottom of your at the bottom of the screen. Do everyone see that? Yeah.
Make me a co-host too, and I can start setting up some breakout rooms.
Yeah, I'll do that right now. Not a problem. All right, I just did that. Okay. So we'll use the reactions. So in the reactions there, you can see the thumbs up. If you've heard of the declaration, hit thumbs up right now. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, counting Nordy. Okay. 4, Justin. Okay. Julie. So we got about, looks a little, almost half. If you have not heard of it, okay, same thing. If you haven't heard of it. Okay, so it looks like about 3 of you there. And then if you're not sure, maybe you have sort of, same thing. Okay, all right, so Kurt, possibly. So that's actually probably a little bit better than normal. Typically, it kind of runs that a lot of people have not heard of it. And that's a good thing that some of you have heard of it. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to show a video, and Rausch's going to show it. And it's actually our executive director, Pat Kelleher. And this was a video that was put together last summer, but it'll give you an idea of what the declaration is. So go ahead, Rausch.
Uh-oh, I'm having some audio issues here.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what's going on and what happened.
How are we doing, Nordy?
I don't know why this isn't working, Tabes. My computer did a reset this morning, and for some reason, it is now not working. Or it was working yesterday.
Interesting.
Really interesting. Let me try. Still not working there. Nothing there?
All right. Well, okay, since we don't have that, just to kind of give you an idea of what really Pat is talking about is a couple things. And the first one is hits to the head. And obviously that's been a topic of discussion. Football's obviously dealt with the whole concussion issue and hits to the head. And obviously in hockey, we've been dealing with the same. So there's talk about, we have to eliminate hits to the head. The other one is hits from behind. And, I think we've all heard the conversation where if you see numbers, you have to tell your players to hold up, but we really have to eliminate hits from behind. Those two have been the two we've really focused on over the last number of years. And, probably the discussion now that we're really talking about even more now are the late hits. And we'll get more into that throughout the discussion here. But the late hit, it used to be where a player, could finish their check. And if the player made a pass or took a shot on goal or lost the puck, you probably had about 1001, 1002, 1003, and you could make contact and finish your check. And that's the other one that we're definitely looking at eliminating from the game. If the player doesn't have the puck, then we've got to make the change that you can't make contact with a player that doesn't have the puck. If I were to ask the group, if a player didn't have the puck and you made contact with them, in your opinion, what would the penalty be?
Interference.
I'm sorry?
Interference.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're looking at, Richard, would be an interference call, at that point. But those are the three that, we've really talked about. And then the other thing that Pat gets into in the video is banging our sticks on the boards. And, I think that if you have heard about it, there's lots of people that, want to debate it, but we're not looking at taking out the celebration of scoring goals, making a great play. We're trying to eliminate the celebration of banging your sticks on the boards when, somebody blows up a player in open ice or there's a hard hit along the wall. Because if that were to happen, let me ask the group, what do you think potentially happens next?
Well, Mark, I know I just coached in a high school game and that happened tonight where there was a hard hit against the boards and the team was banging their sticks and it was a rivalry game. So that happened. And all it does is elevate emotions between the two teams, especially in a rivalry game. And then it just leads to, especially with high school players, but not just, subjected to high school players, but it leads to just, players that go on and make stupid decisions and try to take a next run to try to be that next guy who gets celebrated for making a big hit or something stupid like that.
Yes, Steve, I agree with you 100%. I think what we've probably all seen, when a player makes that hit, everyone stands up and hits the boards. And then the other team, they're looking at making that next big hit and it escalates and they make that hit and they're up. And next thing the game's turning into something it shouldn't be. And potentially we're looking at safety issues. So, that's really a big key to really the banging the sticks on the boards. And I guess I would ask, the group here, in your thoughts, your opinion, why do you think USA Hockey would focus on these aspects, these four aspects right now?
I think the biggest thing would be player safety.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a big part of our goal, is keeping kids safe. As much as we're, providing, an opportunity to play, safety has to be right up there as a number one issue for sure. Any other thoughts?
I think there's a lot of other sports that are being looked at very heavily, large contact sports as well, that, if we don't do something initially, that there could be bigger issues down the road that USA Hockey has to deal with from a safety perspective. Kind of helping ourselves before somebody helps us make a decision for us.
Yeah, and that's going to lead into a potentially another slide here. But if I were to continue, I mean, we're definitely committed to doing the right thing, and we definitely need to change this culture. And if I was to ask the group, back in, we'll say, the 70s, 80s, back when Nordy used to play, what was checking like back then? What was the reason for checking back in those days?
Courage, enthusiastic play from the other team.
Good, yeah, for sure.
There was
I would
definitely
say
an
intimidation.
Yeah, I'm glad Nordy jumped in on that one. Tell us about that, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, guys would intentionally go out to make big hits to try to intimidate the opposing team and, create more time and space for their team.
And what was it like? Obviously, finishing your check was a big part of the game then as well. If you didn't finish your check, what would happen, Nordy?
You'd end up sitting on the bench.
Totally. And then if you went back, we'll say back into the 90s, maybe early 2000, what was the rationale for checking during those years, if we were trying to make a comparison? Any thoughts?
I think there was still even an intimidation factor even then, but I remember growing up watching Scott Stevens play, and his whole half of the time he was always trying to catch a guy coming across the middle, and it was always the big hit that would try to swing momentum from one side to the other. But there was still that intimidation factor. I don't think it went away, from the 70s and 80s to the 90s and early 2000s.
Well, and I think too, it's kind of a sensationalization thing. It was an entertainment factor, at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say to Justin real quick, you're going to enjoy the video at the end. You'll get a good chuckle out of the last video that we have today. But I guess I would throw out to the group, I even think in the 90s, 2000s, I mean, as much as there was still the intimidation factor, I still think there was, you were separating the man from the puck. I think that was probably a big part of what the game was about at that point. You were making body contact to separate the man from the puck, and then, a teammate would come in and pick up the puck. Where when you look at today, if you were to look at today's game, what would you say the rationale for checking at this point it would be?
I would say the same, but it's more emphasis on not taking yourself out of the play as much. So being able to check, but being able to stay engaged in the play immediately thereafter.
And I think that's where there's been a lot more overseas players get involved. You see more of them in the professional aspects of the game, and they're more finesse and speed and athleticism rather than physical.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and obviously we all watch the NHL. You're fortunate enough to watch a lot of college hockey in your backyard, but the NHL playoffs are a much different animal than the regular season. But I would suggest to the group that now when you look at the game, it's more about attempting to win possession of the puck, gaining possession of the puck. The stick is below the knees. It's trying to gain control of the puck. And again, we'll have some clips that will show some of this, but I think that's how it's really changed from, the 70s, 80s to the 90s, 2000s to today. It's more about utilizing your body and gaining control of the puck now. And, you know, that's really what we're focused on right now when it comes to youth hockey, is creating, you know, an environment where, you know, we're not hitting vulnerable players out on the ice. You know, we're looking to win possession of the puck. We're not looking for those hard hits along the wall or those open ice hits. But in fact, we really want more physical play in our game. We want more body contact for sure. And Rausch is going to put up the next slide. And we're at a point now where doctors and legislators are having a potential impact on our game. You know, there's been a couple studies that have come out through the American Medical Association and the Mayo Clinic, and they're actually looking at checking out of our game. You know, if they had their way, it would be at 14U. You know, and we're definitely not in favor of that. And, you know, we're making these adjustments to our game. So these legislators and doctors, you know, if they get their 2 cents in here, that's potentially what we're looking at. So the more we can educate coaches on, you know, playing the game this way, changing the culture, we have a better chance of checking where we want it. And, you know, that's what we really need to do. And we actually have a person in our office, Kevin Margarucci. He's even traveled to Washington, D.C. and sat in front of Congress, you know, and talking to them on behalf of USA Hockey about this. So this is definitely a big topic right now. So we're doing everything in our, you know, that we can to get coaches to, you know, take control of this, because if we don't, the other people are going to jump in and it's going to be out of our hands. So, you know, this is a big message for us right now, and we want to continue to spread that message and do the right thing. So what we're going to do next year, we're going to look at some videos here. I'm going to turn it over to Rauschy, and he's going to walk through the videos with you, and I will let him set it up with you, and it'll be interactive. You'll have to make some decisions whether it was an acceptable or unacceptable hit, but should be good interactive here. So Rauschy, it's all yours.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what's going on with my audio tapes, but for the Scott Stevens, they have YouTube TV as well. So worst case, I can screen share and do that. It won't be as good. But luckily, we don't have don't need video or audio for these videos. We won't be doing polls tonight because we have a much smaller group than normal. But typically what we would do in a coaching clinic is we're going to show you a series of videos, and you're going to look at the videos and think about the things that Taves just talked about, right? In USA Hockey rules, right? A legal body check must be an attempt to gain possession of the puck, not to intimidate, not to punish, right? Again, you got to remember to regain possession of the puck. So we're going to look at these clips with our USA Hockey rule hat on, not NHL, not men's world championships, if we have some clips, not college hockey, whatever it may be, because I think we can all agree, Nordy, is the NHL the same rule book as youth hockey?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, right? So we're looking at these as if they were youth hockey hits, not necessarily the hits that we're seeing. So hopefully that makes sense. So going to look at this hit here. And typically we would put a poll up to ask whether or not this is acceptable or unacceptable hit, but just by a show of hands, for those that are you on video or even off video, you can use your reactions and so yes or no. Do we think this is an acceptable hit in the youth hockey realm? A lot of, mostly thumbs down. I would think we would all agree that this is probably not an acceptable hit. Megan Sparks, if you could take yourself off mute, I saw you give me the thumbs down. Why is this an unacceptable hit?
Because his stick's up. He's not playing the puck and going for the puck. He's just going right through him.
Yeah, sticks up, no attempt to play the puck at all or win possession of the puck. And what else makes this an unacceptable body check?
He's a defenseless player.
Defensive player, and Julie, I won't make yourself take up, put it in the chat room. It's a hit to the head, right? First point of contact is one of the things we look at. And this right here, obviously sticks in the air, no attempt to play the puck. And that first point of contact is shoulder to the head, right? And Nordy mentioned that he's a vulnerable player, right? In youth hockey, who is the onus on? Steve Hudak, take yourself off mute. Is the onus on the checker or the checkee?
It's on the checker.
100%. Great answer, right? Doesn't matter if you're Zdeno Chara at 6'9", hitting Nathan Gerby at 5'3", you cannot ever make head contact, ever. So really good job there, right? So again, not acceptable, hit to the head, no attempt to play the puck, and the vulnerable position.
Zdeno just has to watch his knee when he hits Gerby.
Yeah, exactly, right? All right, second clip here. It's from the playoffs, Stanley Cup Finals last year. We'll see another angle here. And same thing, and either in the chat room or if you're on video with a thumbs up or a thumbs down, do we think this was an acceptable check in youth hockey? All right, I see a lot of thumbs down, some no's coming into the chat room. Actually, let me go the other way. Does anyone think this is an acceptable check? If you do, take yourself off mute and let me know why. Otherwise, we'll go down the path. So someone want to jump in and tell me why this is an unacceptable check? We only have a handful on video, so I don't want to call on, I don't know if is everyone who's not on video easy to chime in, but if someone who's not on video too want to chime in and let me know why this is an unacceptable check.
It's a hit from behind.
Hit from behind for one, for sure, right? We see right there, right into the numbers, for sure. Julie says, left his feet, puck wasn't there, hit from behind. Julie, I'm going to ask you to take yourself off mute this time because that is a phenomenal point and one of my favorites. Tell me about the puck not being there and why that makes it an unacceptable check.
So my son started playing first year Bantam last year, and we had lots of trouble with the boys trying very hard to just become engaged physically and hit. And we had to constantly talk about stick on puck. The whole point was to either separate the player from the puck or get possession of the puck. So if you're not trying to get the puck, there's no reason to hit. So if I don't see a puck anywhere near them and they're hitting, and from my standpoint, then there's no reason to hit.
Absolutely 100%, Julie. And Ken Reinhardt, who's our national referee in chief, taught me this one last year. So you can't finish what you can't start. So like you said, if a player doesn't have the puck, you can't start a check on that player. So how can you finish a check, right? You can't finish anything that you can't start. So really, really good piece right there, because that's the key to a lot of these, right? So again, the finishing the check, no attempt, quick finger there, sorry. No attempt to play the puck, and he's in a bit of a vulnerable position, and he's not in possession of the puck, right? Now, at the NHL level, some people will tell you, well, Grzelcyk's kind of at fault because he put himself in a bad position. Well, in that particular instance, player safety didn't agree, and Sundqvist was fined heavily and suspended for a week while Grzelcyk spent a week in the hospital. But we see it all the time. You see 14U players, 12U players, 16U players. They're not professional athletes. They will catch edges sometimes and put themselves in that position by accident, right? So as Steve said, the onus is always on the checker. If a player is going so fast and out of control that he or she can't stop themselves before delivering that check, then they're out of control, right? And that's part of our responsibility, is to teach that to our players. So really good stuff there. Next one here from the Men's World Championship, Quinn Hughes makes a pass to Jack Eichel. We'll see a couple of different views. This one usually generates a little bit more discussion. What do we think there? Either in the chat or for those on video, thumbs up for acceptable, thumbs down for unacceptable. Thumbs down mostly. I see a no from Austin, no from Justin, no from Kurt, no from Ray. Richard, can Richard Bohan, is it Bohan? Can you take yourself off mute and talk to me about a little late? Is that like being a little pregnant?
No, I mean, it's the puck's gone. The puck's gone. He's already looking to see where he left it, and he came
Right,
in late.
So late is late, right?
Sure. Tell that to
Right,
the
so-
referees in the game today.
Right. So that's where I'm going with that, though, is like some people would say, like, this is an okay hit, right? Now, in the National Hockey League, in the NHL playoffs, is that going to be called a penalty?
No.
No, probably not, right? Probably not. In the Men's World Championship, and again, the IIHF has a different rule book than the NHL. This was actually called a late hit, right? And then obviously in youth hockey, there's no attempt to play the puck, right? Actually, by the time he delivers his body check, Jack Eichel has the puck, right? The puck's on Jack Eichel's stick. And again, stick is in the air, so there's zero chance to attempt to win possession of that puck. Who mentioned it earlier? It was someone, I think it was John maybe, mentioned, or someone maybe off video, talked about taking themselves out of the play. Who was that? If you could take yourself off mute for this, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you, right?
And and that kind of looks like what happened here.
Yeah, right. A lot of NHL coaches, college coaches, they're now teaching, if that's this player here, right? Jack Eichel has the puck. If this defenseman wasn't being a little lazier, I think he might be a forward. If he slid into this space right here, right, that passing lane is wide open. But by delivering that body check, he's got no chance of making or defending that area of the ice. So a lot of high-level coaches will tell you they'd rather that player stop, put the brakes on, get his stick back into that passing lane instead of finishing that check. And again, like I said, in the Men's World Championship, this was called a penalty. So really good job, late hit, no attempt to play the puck, stick in the air. Next one, and we're going to look at the first check here by the player in red. This one right there, not that one. So again, give me a thumbs up if you thought that was an acceptable check, or a thumbs down if you thought it was unacceptable. Or in the chat, yes for acceptable, no for unacceptable. Jim Green says acceptable. Kurt says acceptable. Steve, I can see the hamster running in your mind there. He wants to say yes. So go ahead and say yes. Julie, maybe. Morty, yes. It's close. Justin Camuto, if you could take yourself off mute and tell me why is it close?
So the reason why I say that is because as you watch him go in, if you can run it like forward just a bit, he makes the first attempt. He makes the first attempt, but there's no real play to like go through to play the puck afterward. It's more just to try to hit him, I guess. I don't know. It's close to me. I think it's overall it's clean because he does go stick to puck. He keeps his arms down. He keeps his stick down.
Really good stuff. So I want you to look again. And again, I've had I don't want to call it a luxury, but I've had the ability to see this clip probably close to 500 times, normal speed, slow motion. It's interesting that you say he doesn't make an attempt for the puck. What's the first point of contact?
It is a stick to the puck, yeah.
Yeah, and then what does he do right here?
And he plays the puck. I think what throws me at the end was the follow through with the arm, but at the end of the day, that's not necessarily an illegal check if you make the play to play the puck, right? So
yeah,
what I think refs in our situation in youth hockey will see is they won't see the attempt to play the puck. They see the follow through with the arm and the guy go crashing into the boards. And that's what we would get a call for. But at the same time, I think it's a safe play for the guy as a check, like it's a clean play.
It's interesting you say that, because we know referees will make judgment errors at times, especially real time happening in front of them as it's going on, right? What you may see as a trip from the bench, if I'm refereeing, I might not see on the ice as a ref, because my eyes tell a different story sometimes. Could be the angle, could be the speed, could be a number of different things. But you broke this one down really, really well, where it looks like he extends his arm, right? Part of that, did he extend his arm? Did he, because of the collision, does his arm just raised by accident? You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes when bodies collide, there's an action and equal reaction of body parts. So it may look like he extended his arm. I couldn't tell whether or not he does extend his arm. The funny part about this play is Gudis actually gets an assist on this play by making that pass through the Latvian's legs here. How about the second check by the Latvian on Gudis? Do we think that was an acceptable play right there?
Not a chance.
No, well, it's not only not a chance, not only an acceptable play, it's a dumb play, because by doing that, he gives up a 2-on-1 going the other way with the goalie pulled. And as you see, they end up cashing in and the Czechs seal this game. Now, could the Latvian player realize, hey, that's Radko Gudis, he's in a vulnerable position, this guy deserves this once in a while because he does it to other people? Probably. Right?
Yep.
But,
I think the hard part too, like for us as coaches, especially at the youth level, to see, and it's easy for us to see one thing and get on a referee about one thing. Everything happens so quickly. Everything's so bang, bang. Like we can break that down like you did and just see it where it's, by frame, where, we're dealing with youth referees and as youth coaches, we don't have that luxury too, right? So it makes it so much harder for those guys. And it's easy for us as coaches to jump on referees, but they're in the same situation. They're seeing the same thing we are, and immediately with no instant feedback, no replay. So yeah, I get that. Yeah.
And that's a great point. And the reality is they're actually not seeing the same thing we are as coaches, because we're standing still and we have a still shot of it from a different angle, right? They're moving, trying to keep up with the play. So they may be skating while trying to make that decision, seeing it from a different angle. So yeah, it's we know it's a tough job, right? And we have to be patient with them. But again, this clip was acceptable, led with the stick, not only attempted to regain possession, did regain, stick below the knee. And obviously that second one was unacceptable. So this one here is going to be probably the most difficult call we have here. So we're looking at that body check right there by 13 in blue. All right, so here's the third time we'll watch it, and then I'll see if we can get a temperature here. All right, thumbs up if you think it's acceptable, thumbs down or no in the chat if it's unacceptable. Steve says unacceptable for the head. Pete says no, unacceptable. Austin says no. Richard's looking for a better look. I like it. Justin, no. Ron, no. So mostly no's coming in. Anyone want to go out on a limb and say, yeah, it was okay, and then tell me why?
Yeah, I'll head out there.
All right.
I'm not sure he actually contacts his head. It looks like he contacts his body. The puck, I can't tell where the puck is and if he actually is making a play on that. It almost looks like yeah.
So I'll say this, Richard, having watched it again a number of times, there actually is not head contact on the play, right? So would that change your mind?
Yeah, I mean, he came in, it looked like he came in with his stick to make a play on the puck, came through the body. I know this, and that would not be called in our games.
And it was not called in this game. As you see, the referee keeps his arms down. Pete, you said no. Tell me why you said no, please.
It just looked, from what I saw, to be shoulder to the head.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyone that
maybe that's just looking at the height difference, that being a taller player and the other player being bent down playing the puck. But that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, it can look like that for sure. Do we think at all that there was an attempt to gain possession of the puck here?
Hey, Kenny, I was wondering, I thought the first thing I thought was kind of blindside, unsuspecting player, not really.
Go down that path a little bit more, Justin, about the blind side.
The player that he's coming in to hit, he's coming from the weak side of the play. It's an unsuspecting player on the puck. His head's down at the puck. And yeah, it may go in and play a puck, but you're still hitting a defenseless player who isn't expecting to get hit. And even if he makes maybe a poke at the puck, you're still blowing a guy up from the side where they're not suspecting. And that to me is a dangerous hit, because that guy that's not suspecting the hit is far more vulnerable than a guy who, is in a way. But
yeah.
That was how I took that.
No, Justin, you nailed it right there. But can you tell me why why is that player become a vulnerable player? What you know what the language we're looking for, or the situation we're looking for? Because you've nailed all the points. You just missed one tiny piece of it.
Is it? I don't know. Is it from the weak side? Is that what it is? I don't know if that.
Very close. But the real reason is it's because he's engaged, he's already physically engaged with another player. And that is exactly what makes him a vulnerable player there. You nailed it, Justin, right? Because he's looking at the puck, he's battling for the puck, and has zero presence of what's coming from the weak side, right? Even though that player comes and delivers that check almost to his chest, he still has no idea it's coming because he's battling with another player for the puck. And the interesting part is this actual language is not currently in our rule book. It's in the interpretation of the Declaration of Player Safety, which went out to every referee in chief. So they're getting this all at referee clinics. And yes, Julie, it's exactly similar to third man in. So a really good analogy there. But I sit on the playing rules committee, and the vulnerable player, the engaged, previously engaged in a physical battle, all of these new glossary definitions will be in the rule book starting next year, just so make it a little bit more clear and clarify. So really good stuff there. Last clip we're going to have is we see Jack Eichel again. So what do we think? Thumbs up, acceptable, thumbs down, unacceptable, or yes, acceptable, no, unacceptable? Steve says unacceptable. John says an elbow. So no, into the back. Interesting. Anyone think it's acceptable?
I think the man with the puck in red was close enough, and when Eichel stepped into him, he stood up, and Eichel could be viewed as still playing the puck or trying to separate from the puck.
So what's the first point of contact right there?
On my monitor, it looks like his stick is down towards his feet or the puck.
Yeah, the actual first point of contact was stick on puck, right? So let me ask you this. Let me back it up a little bit. What could have Jack Eichel done right here to this Canadian player had he chosen to try to intimidate him?
So that's what I thought made it so it was a good hit, was as Jack continues towards the guy, he actually turns his feet to go with the guy and make it so he's going with the guy to create more body contact. Whereas he could have kept going and crossed under backwards to come in and throw a hip check and then just hit the guy just to hit the guy. He turns his feet again to go with the guy to try to create a rub off thing.
Bingo, Justin. So like Jack right here could just take a straight beeline and run him basically, right? Right. He could take this path right here and just go straight at him. But instead, you nailed it. He turns his feet, angles, right? Stick on puck creates that separation. Puck pops over to Johnny Gaudreau, and the good guys in white are headed up ice. Now I can see where it may look like an elbow. Again, I've seen this clip 500 plus times. And in reality, John, it looks like he does extend his arm a little bit. But as we talked in that other club, is extending your arm a penalty? No, it's not, right? It's what changes this clip, and Justin used great verbiage. It's what changes this clip from body contact to body checking. If Jack doesn't extend his arm to get that extra push off and that spacing, right? That's body contact. If Jack just keeps his arms down, runs that Canadian player into the boards, that's a legal play at 12 years old. It's a legal play at 10 years old, right? But it becomes an illegal play at 10 and 12 because of the extension of the arm, which again, rule book wise is defined as an overt action of your arm, hip, shoulder, whatever it may be. So that's the difference between body checking and body contact, because again, acceptable lead with the stick, not only attempt to regain, did regain, and stick below the knees. So just two other clips we're going to show. This is what old school hockey when Nordy played used to look like, right? Totally ignore the puck. Just try to put the guy in the cheap sheets, send a message, right? And the funniest part is this actually clip was only from a year ago and he's still doing this. 0 attempt, drills him from behind. And then the favorite part is he finishes his check and looks at the refs like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I just finished my check. That's what coach wanted me to do, right? Because that's old school hockey. And then new school hockey, right? We see the Detroit Red Wing defenseman doing a shoulder check, trying to feel the big guy coming. But instead of running him through the boards, he goes stick on puck, hands on hands, hips through hands, and wins the puck and ends up with an assist. And I think we all know who that player is. That's Milan Lucic, right? Now wearing red and gold, right? If he was wearing black and gold 6 years ago, he would have been on that first clip. So completely different. So I'm going to try something here because my volume for some reason through my PowerPoint is not working. I am going to try and do a screen share for this and see if this works. Trying to get creative.
So while you're doing that, Rauschy.
Yep.
I didn't introduce Kenny beforehand, and I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce him to the group here. But Rauschy is the director of youth hockey for USA Hockey, and he oversees all of our youth and high school national championships, as well as our boys national player development camp. So he oversees all of those areas. He's an ADM regional manager for Alaska. And before USA Hockey, he coached collegiately as well. And I'm going to read off the schools he was at, but he was at Babson College, UMass Lowell, Niagara University, Colby College, and his alma mater. He also coached there, Boston University, and he won a national championship in 1995. So like I said, I'm remiss for not introducing Rauschy at the very beginning. So
it's definitely so it's definitely something to do with my second monitor's volume because YouTube wasn't working either. I'm going to try something else real quick. I'm going to maybe see if I can put it on my main screen if that would change it, because if not, I got to do some digging tomorrow, because you got to love when Windows does updates and then changes everything on your computer, just like probably everyone had their iPhone update the other day and all of a sudden apps are in different places. I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm going to try this one more time. If not, we'll just play the video and I can kind of talk you through it again. Let's see. Bring that over to this screen and see what happens. I'm trying to be creative here. computer. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm not sure what is going on. But it happens, right, Nordy?
It's all how we adjust.
Yeah, it's not working on this one either, so I'm not sure what's going on, but I'll just play it through my PowerPoint again and then kind of walk you through it. So basically what Scott Stevens is talking about, and this is the great irony of this clip, is talking about playing stick on puck hockey, learning how to defend with your stick as opposed to rather your body, right? We obviously all know why it's ironic, because Scott did not play that way. And actually at the end of this video, he does talk about, he didn't learn this until his 12th year in the league when he played for Jacques Lemaire and Larry Robinson. Big Bird taught him to use his stick a lot more instead of, right, to defend with your stick and stick on puck. And if you YouTube or Google Scott Stevens stick on puck, you can find this video on YouTube and listen to it as well. And it's actually a pretty good piece to share with your player. So here's one clip where he talks about Phaneuf going on Pacioretty, and you can see stick is not on puck, and Phaneuf's looking to finish the check. And while he does finish the check, right, because the stick's not on the puck, he allows Pacioretty to make that pass, right? Yeah, he gets to finish the check, but he's not taking the passing lane away, and it ends up in a goal for Montreal. And fortunate for Toronto in this instance, that goal was called back because of goalie interference. Here's another one. Rob Scuderi doesn't have his stick out, doesn't have stick on puck, and all he ends up doing is screening his goaltender. As you can see, his stick is off to the side, and that's where that's where the stick should be. Next one here, you see a forechecker coming in, right? He does go stick on puck first, right? And because he goes stick on puck, he separates, he regains possession of the puck. Right, Ladd passes it out to Wheeler, back of the net. Right, again, so it's not always about just going in on that forecheck looking to smoke someone, but it's again about winning possession of the puck. And you see Stahl here coming in, not having control of his stick, right? Stick on puck, stick below the knees, right? Those things in youth hockey, if you're not controlling your stick, you're in trouble. And that's really the gist of it there. So the next question we would ask is, when should we start teaching body contact? Now I want everyone to take yourselves off mute and tell me when you think we should start teaching body contact.
8U.
How come, Nordy?
Because they need to learn, number one, how to angle and go in and make contact. And then also, two, more importantly, the player picking up the puck needs to learn to brace themselves, lower their center of gravity, to increase their balance to receive the contact. So we try to encourage that in our Might House League program and try to work it from there.
Fabulous answer. Because we at USA Hockey believe it should start as early as possible. And Nordy, you didn't use the exact words I'm looking for, but we call it contact confidence, right? And it starts with the mirroring, the angling, the stick on puck. But the reality is young players need to realize it's okay to get bumped, to bump into someone, to use your body for body contact to try to win a puck, right? It's the difference between body checking and body contact, where contact is allowed at 8U hockey, and we want more body contact. We want the game to be physical, right? The women's game is played under the same classification as 8U hockey. It's body contact hockey. Watch the women play Canada in the gold medal game. That's a physical game, but it's not violent, right? You don't have the stupidity. You don't have the intent to injure a lot, right? But we want it physical. Right. And Nordy, you couldn't have said it any better. Like, by putting them in smaller areas too, they're going to run into each other by accident. Right. So we want that to start at 8U. Right. So now that they've learned body contact confidence, should we only teach it on the ice, or should we do some off ice stuff for 8-year-olds? What do you think? What do you think, Megan? Oh, Megan's got distraction. Sorry, Megan.
Sorry,
Julie, what do you think? Right.
I would say off ice too.
Off ice is a huge piece, right? Especially for the contact confidence part, where you can stand there, get foot to foot with a teammate, bump shoulders, right? Learn how to be in a hockey ready stance and get pushed in the hips, get pushed on the shoulders, and keep your balance. You think an 8-year-old has better chance of being balanced in their tennis shoes than on a razor blade under their feet? Right? Absolutely. Right. So doing a ton of off ice body contact and body checking stuff for younger ages is huge. Right. So at 10U, Nordy, who's one of your 10U coaches here?
Who do we have 10U? I don't know if we have anybody on 10U, do we? Yeah,
I'm here.
Austin Dudley. Yeah, we got Duds
All right,
on
Austin.
there.
All right, Austin. So now that we've taught some body contact confidence and, maybe a little bit of mirroring stuff at 8U, what can we do at 10U to keep it going further down the tracks?
I mean, say you continue with that, and then you start implementing a little bit more of working those angles all the way to the boards and following through with that once you got the puck involved too.
Absolutely. Really good, right? And again, can we continue to do off-ice stuff with 10-year-olds?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. How about one of my 12U coaches? Now we've had our 8U coaches teach body contact confidence on and off the ice. We've had Austin with our 10Us start to teach him a little bit more angling, a little bit more stick on puck, a little bit, hey, running into the boards is okay. Right? Now what do we do at 12U? Anyone?
I mean, we start teaching them how to set up, like we saw with the one clip, set up your positioning so you're angling them to the board and you're causing it, not just following through with it.
Yeah, Megan, that's great because now at 12U, spatial awareness is coming into the brain a little bit more, whereas 8U and 10U, only if you're an early adapter in the cognitive aspect will you get that. But typically 11 or 12 is where spatial awareness and understanding angles comes into play, right? Whereas 8 and 10, we're trying to teach them maybe a little bit more mirroring, maybe more mimicking. But 11 and 12-year-olds can now start to figure out, all right, player I'm guarding is going there. I need to take this angle to get to X, right? So we continue to do that, right? Angle, stick on puck, hands through hands, hips through hands, right? Now, can we continue to do off-ice stuff with 12-year-olds? For sure, right? For sure. So now we've had Nordy with his 8-year-olds teaching the body contact confidence, Austin at 10, Megan at 12. Who's my 14U coaches here? Anyone? All right, John, how comfortable would you now feel if player X has gone through 2 years with Nordy, 2 years with Austin, 2 years with Megan, coming to you as a 13-year-old player? Think they're going to be adapting to body checking fairly well?
Yeah, they're not going to be, timid or afraid of it, and they're definitely going to be ready.
Yeah, and one thing too I forgot to say is Megan, allow your 12-year-olds to check in practice. Maybe the second half of the year, you allow them to body check each other in practice so they get used to it because, studies tell us 96% of injuries happen in games, not in practice because teammates don't usually try to kill each other, right? So if you're trying to check Steve in practice, you're probably trying to do it correctly, not to hurt Steve, right? You're trying to win the puck back. So now, John, right, do you feel much better about player X going through that 6-year progression or player Y who goes to a 1-hour body checking clinic?
Yeah, definitely player X.
Yeah, so it's on all of us, right? It's on all of us to do. Our 8U coaches started, 10U continue, 12U take it to the next level, and then 13 and 14, we continue to reinforce those good habits, right? And I'm going to brag a little bit here. I've actually taken a group of players from 8U through high school, and all we did was play body contact until they got to high school hockey. And by the time they were freshmen in high school, it was a seamless transition into body checking. As a matter of fact, one of our regional managers was out here for meetings, watched our team practice, and he's like, wow, I can't believe how good your players are at angling and taking over the puck. And until they were 14 years old, we never really talked about body checking, but we did it every day, right? Every day. And the one thing I will say too is not only when do we start teaching, every one of you, no matter what age group you're teaching, should have some form of body contact in every practice at every age group. whether you're coaching 18-year-olds or 8-year-olds, for sure. And the last slide we have is who has the ultimate responsibility for our team's behavior?
Rausch, can I jump in just a minute?
Yeah, absolutely, Tabes.
For all of you, if you go to usahockey.com and go to the coaches page, there is a complete off-ice body contact and checking piece.
I'll put it in the chat room too.
Yeah, so Rausch will put this in the chat, and I would recommend go to this because it's really taking your players off ice. And as Rausch said earlier, granted they're in their shoes, they're not on their skates, but they're in full equipment, and you're going through a progression of different drills, different things that you can do with your players, so they can gain gain that contact confidence. And I'd highly recommend it. It's a good piece. It was all done with our national team development players when they were in Ann Arbor a few years back. Well,
I'm putting a couple of other clips in as well. The other one is the declaration piece that you would have listened to start the presentation of Pat Keller talking about what it is. I'll also put the Scott Stevens piece in there as well. So again, lastly, like we said, Taves, you want to take the last part, or you want me to go ahead?
I mean, we can tag team this together. I mean,
sure.
I guess the last question that we would have for everyone there is, who's ultimately responsible for your team's behavior and your players' behavior? Is it the coach, the player, the official, the parent? What do you guys think? Who ultimately has that responsibility?
I think it's the coach.
Dig deep into that. Why would you say the coach?
Well, I mean, the kids are taking instruction from us every day on the ice. So if we're out there telling them to play dirty, then they're going to play in games dirty. If we're teaching them the correct way to hit, take a hit and receive a hit, and the correct reasoning why, you're doing it to get the puck, you're doing it to get possession instead of blowing up the other kid. They're gonna learn that, and doing a lot of checking and body contact in practice, gives them that muscle memory to know, well, I don't want to blow up one of my teammates. And then they go into a game, they're not going to blow up that guy. They're going to take what they learned in practice.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 1,000,000%. I mean, I'm one of those believers that the players are a reflection of their coach. I mean, if the coach allows that type of behavior, the team will play that way. And we've brought this up on clinics before, and I've always been a big believer in this, but are you the coach that, let's say the puck is moved up the ice, it's behind the play, and one of your players just two hands a player on the other team. Referee doesn't see it because the referee's heading up the ice. Are you the coach who, when that player comes to the bench, do you say, hey, good job? Or are you the one who says, you know what, that was really stupid and you're going to take a seat for that and you're going to, correct that right there? I think that's a real interesting question. And, how people react, to me, that has a great impact on how their team plays. And we all know there's lots of coaches that, hey, you didn't get caught, good job. And that's the behavior we have to stop for sure.
And Taves, Ray actually put in the chat room that all are responsible, which is correct, right? We're responsible, the players are responsible, the refs are responsible, parents, people in the stands are responsible. But I think Taves hit it there. The ultimate responsibility is we have that power as coaches to, have that discipline, action over our players, because just like you said, Steve and Taves, the saying that I like to use is what you permit, you promote, right? So if you're allowing that to happen, you're promoting it to happen, right? So really good stuff there.
Well, with all that, that's kind of what we had planned for tonight. I don't know if anybody wants to, if there's any questions, any thoughts, any discussion on what we kind of facilitated tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something. So we tried to, with our team, do one of the small area games with a ring instead of a puck, because then all of a sudden the kids are trying moves that they would never try with a puck, spinorama and stuff, but they're able to do it with their head up. They're able to look. and see. So next year we share the ice with the U14s. Next year when they're down there and they're going to be getting hit, they're picking their heads up more. I just want to know whether you thought that was a good idea, but apparently Kenny does.
I actually, we do it with our high school team as well. And one of the things I'm also going to do right now is I'm going to put into the chat room if I can find it, a link to all of our high school practices for the last 2.5 years that you can take a look at, use. I mean, honestly, you can run these practices with 10U and above. And it's just, I add, every time we do a new practice, we add it in there. And you'll see we do with high school players do all the ring and stuff. And it's the ultimate body contact, body checking tool, because if you want to do stick on puck and I'm trying to get your ring, it's always nice, right? My stick's gotta be nice to deliver that body check or to deliver that hit check to try to steal that ring away. So it's a great thing. And Pete, I'm so with you. About 15 years ago, I thought ringettes were the silliest, stupidest things ever. And it's like, now that I'm a little bit older and wiser, I think it's just a valuable tool. It's awesome. Really good stuff.
Any other questions? And it can be on anything else. I mean, I would throw out to you, I mean, obviously I oversee the coaching education program and Rausch oversees youth hockey. So, if you have any questions, concerns in other areas, fire away at us.
Yeah, I'd just like to actually make, it's more of a comment, but just like to really commend USA Hockey for taking this initiative for player safety. This is just sort of something coming from even outside the coaches area, just some coming from parents, maybe other parents of a kid who may not be 100% in on hockey, and us being in a not 100% hockey hotbed, that attention to safety issues is as important here, or maybe more so than in a big hockey hotbed. Getting that attention and making that attention, bringing those issues, like you said, bringing it up before it's brought up by other organizations or come in and implemented for us. That efforts, I just wanted to share, like, that's a really positive thing. That really plays well. And you can, as we can see, us being more in a football heavy area, that concern and seeing that sport struggle and getting through that without a lot of seemingly national direction. It's very, when we talk around and talk to parents or prospective parents about hockey, we get to say these things. We get to say how our game is changing, and that's a really positive thing. So I just wanted to pass that along.
No, Kurt, I think we all appreciate that, and bottom line is we're all in this together, and if we can change this culture, it's going to make our game even better. Because let's be honest, I think there was a time in the day when there were times you could be at a youth hockey game and it was football on ice. So, if we can make our game safer, yet at the same time make it, just as physical and competitive as it has been, I think that's the goal here.
All right, good news, Nordy. I think I fixed my audio issue.
Did you really?
Hi, I'm Pat
Just in
Keller,
the nick of
Executive
time.
Director of USA Hockey, and it's hard to believe another record-breaking hockey season is behind us.
You want to?
USA Hockey,
We'll show you this just as a finishing point.
Volunteers from across the country in June to join us in Colorado Springs and talk about the future of our great sport. One of the major developments of those meetings this year was the ratification of the Declaration of Player Safety, Fair Play, and Respect. This declaration is a collaborative initiative that included input from those involved in safety, youth hockey, coaching, and officiating, with the main focus to change the culture of body checking in youth hockey and teach the modern game, where body check must be an attempt to win possession of the puck and not an effort to punish or intimidate. USA Hockey is committed to a culture where there are no late hits, no hits to the head, and no checking from behind. Another element to the declaration deals with unsportsmanlike conduct on the bench, specifically banging the boards with a stick or other object in a taunting fashion. The intent is not to take fun or positive energy out of the game when a great play is made, but instead to recognize this action as unsportsmanlike conduct when done to taunt an opponent or celebrate an unacceptable body check. We've had a rule in place that penalizes that type of behavior for many years. Enforcement of this specific action will be a point of emphasis moving forward. In the coming weeks, we'll use various channels to distribute educational materials to the USA Hockey family related to the declaration, including video examples of acceptable and unacceptable body checks. Safety is the top priority of USA Hockey, and I know all involved with our sport will join together in embracing these new initiatives to make the game safer for our youth players. Thanks, and have a great summer.
There you go.
All right. Nordy, we'll turn it back to you right now.
Yeah, I want to thank the two of you, Tabes and Rausch, for spending time with us tonight. It was very valuable. You guys did a great job, and we're very appreciative. I know you guys have a busy schedule, and to take time out to spend time with us tonight, we're very much appreciative of that. So, and thank you to all our coaches who are on the call tonight. Appreciate your involvement, and everybody enjoy the rest of your evening. And thanks again.
Thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.